announced about 9:30 this morning. So I guess let's get into the announcement in a second. Ryan Taylor did say that Johan Lang identified Kinski as a target via the data algorithms. Spurs then sent scouts to watch him in the Europa League and impress them further. Spurs initially did plan to pursue a deal for Kinski in the summer, but pushed forward the plans after Vicario's injury.
So we're making ChatGPT signings.
Pretty much, yeah. Pretty much.
Look, we know that it was always likely that Tottenham were looking for a keeper. Obviously, the interesting thing is that yesterday Austin actually came in and did quite well. So clearly it didn't put off Tottenham making the move, albeit they'd made this move before Austin had that performance. So Austin has been sitting there for nigh on 10 years, not playing a game. And Tottenham feel, look, for one reason or another, they haven't been convinced he's the answer. He comes in yesterday and performs really, really well. And that's made a lot of people question, why are we signing a keeper? Because Austin's been there and he's played well. But look, it's only one game. There must be a reason why they haven't trusted him before then. Sometimes, as a player, you do only need a chance. And maybe he, yesterday he did took his chance, and maybe he can move on to he can push on from that. But Tottenham have felt like they needed a keeper through the door, and this guy is a bit of a maverick in goal. He's very risk taking with the ball at his feet. You see him doing some crazy things with the ball at his feet. He's super confident. I think he comes in here. I'm sure the way he plays is a reflection of his personality as well, in the sense that he's very confident in most situations on the pitch. If people are pressing him, he's willing to do lobs over pressing forwards and Cruyff turns in the box and all these kind of things, which I think Ange would like. And I think that confidence as well will probably breed into his personality, where he probably feels like, yeah, I'm coming in right now as number 2 to Vicario, but I'm confident I can take that first team spot, and it's going to be an interesting battle, I think.
Yeah, I do feel like obviously this signals the end for Fraser Forster. In my opinion, we should be trying to move Fraser Forster on or give him some sort of severance package and have the 3 keepers of Kinski as backup and Brandon as third choice. So Kinski will be able to play in Europe after the group stages is done. He has been playing in the Europa League for Slavia Prague this season. But then again, what kind of message does it send out to players like Josh Keeley, Brandon Austin, who have both, like Brandon obviously came, like you said, came in yesterday, did really well. Josh Keeley had loan in the National League last season, doing really well at Leyton Orient in League One this season. They could even be pushing for promotion to the Championship this year. I think it was his 8th clean sheet in 9 games yesterday for Leyton Orient in Brandon Austin. So, I mean, he's the same age as Kinski. They're both 21 years of age. So if I'm Josh Keeley, I don't know what to be thinking right now, because you're doing really well out on loan. And Spurs have just signed a keeper, pretty much, looking at the future of the club.
Look, it sends a message that this is the standard you're going to have to reach if you're going to make it here. And obviously, I do think this probably confirms that there'll be a loan deal for Keeley probably
next season,
in next season as well. Look, he's doing extremely well. I hope he has a future here at Tottenham, and I hope we keep him around, because he seems to be doing incredibly well. But we need players now, and we need a keeper now. I know Austin's come in and done well, but it's only one game. I don't know. I'm not on the training ground. I don't know if he's fully ready to have a run of games. Maybe he is. On yesterday's basis, he could be. And maybe on that basis, could we have just trusted Austin for the short term and then, brought Keeley in next summer? But the club feel they wanted a serious upgrade now to really challenge Vicario. They felt like Austin isn't that. And that's what they want to do. I'm not against it. Look, I think they've clearly brought in someone who has got a high potential, albeit, he's only played really 18 months of top level football, but he's got Europa League experience in there, Champions League experience. He's played extremely well in his first 6 months at Slavia Prague. They haven't conceded many goals. He's done extremely well. Everyone's been raving about him. And he really suits the system when it comes to, the ball at his feet, his passing ability. Is Keeley? I know Keeley's doing well, and I've seen him play, and he is a very, very confident lad. But is he up to scratch on that element of the game? I don't know. I know he's confident, doesn't mean he's, as good yet on that element as maybe a Kinski is. So the club feel they need someone right now to come in and really help in that department. And I'm not gonna be mad at the club upgrading potentially in the short term if need be, and I think that there probably is.
In terms of in terms of Kinski and Forster, and where does this leave Forster? Surely Forster comes out the squad in Europe after January now. He's going to have to, right?
He's going to have to. We've got no choice. Unless we're going to leave Kinski out of the Europe squad, I think he's going to have to leave out Forster. And I don't think we would have pushed the button on Kinski if Forster didn't have a few performances that clearly Ange was worried about. I think if Forster carried on in the vein he was right at the beginning of him coming into the team, I think we probably just hold off on a keeper. But clearly his performances have been declining ever since he's come into the team. I think everyone's seen that. So I don't think you bring in a keeper in January. I don't think you rush it forward and then leave him out in Europe. That doesn't make any sense. So especially with Vicario is going to be out till March. So albeit by the time if we go through in Europa, by the time it comes back, Vicario might be fit. That's true. But yeah, I think he has to be in.
Does he start on Wednesday?
Great question. That is a very good question because he's going to have 2 days training, Monday, Tuesday. We'll take a good look at him. Also, makes it even more interesting the fact that first of all Forster might be back from his illness, and also Austin played really well on Saturday.
So there's 3 options, right, for Wednesday night. Massive game, biggest game of the season so far. Which option do you go for?
I think, look, you've signed him. You think he can be an upgrade straight away. I mean, if I feel bad for Austin, though, I kind of want to reward him for a good performance. But you've decided to push the button early on a keeper in January because you've brought that forward. There must be a reason you've brought that forward, right? You haven't brought it forward because you're certain about the current keepers. And if you're not, and you think this guy can make a real impact, and I also think with keepers, they're probably the ones I would say in our team that you could just shove straight in and have the least impact when it comes to the way we play. I think he's going to be used to playing with the ball at his feet a lot at the moment, so I think we can chuck him straight in for sure. I think I'll chuck him straight in. As much as Austin did really well, I think I'll chuck him straight in and put Austin in against Tamworth.
Well, let's have a look at the announcement that Spurs did this morning. This is how they announced it first and foremost. This is the video of his body looking absolutely ripped. Putting on the shirt.
6'2" he is.
I don't know if you saw yesterday, someone had a shirt with his name on it and his number on it.
Yeah, I don't know if it was someone leaking the announcement beforehand or something, but I did see that. I saw someone. Or maybe someone just went to the club shop and bought it. But how do you know the number?
That's the thing.
Yeah, so it must have been someone leaking it.
So that was the first video. And then we're delighted to announce the signing of Antonin Kinski, subject to international clearance and work permit. And then if you click into the website, there's an article and it says, we are delighted to announce the signing of Antonin Kinski from Slavia Prague, subject to international clearance and work permit. The 21-year-old goalkeeper has agreed a deal that will run until 2031 and will wear the number 31 shirt. Born and raised in Prague, Antonin began his footballing journey locally with FC Tempo Prague, then Bohemian Prague, and then Dukla Prague, making his senior debut with the latter in July 2020. He signed for Slavia Prague in July 2021 and joined up with the B team, where the shot stopper made 9 appearances in his debut season. For the second half of the 21-22 campaign, he headed out on loan to MFK Zaiskov, featuring 13 times. Antonin returned for a second loan spell ahead of the following season, taking his tally to 47 appearances across all competitions for the Czech side. He joined Pardubice in July 2023 on a season-long loan, making his Czech First League debut in the same month. Antonin featured 18 times across the campaign. Returning to Slavia Prague in 24-25, he has made 29 appearances this season across fixtures in the Czech First League and the Europa League and the Champions League qualifiers, and has kept 14 clean sheets. Featuring from the Czech Republic youth team from under 15 all the way up to under 21 level, Antonin earned his first senior call-up ahead of the 24 October and November Nations League fixtures. So already getting recognition for his national team as well.
Fantastic. The only thing slightly worries me is, first of all, the numbers when it comes to his ability to come for crosses is not particularly strong, and that's something obviously Vicario struggles with. So is he strong? Coming into the Premier League, especially when you've got teams like Arsenal and Everton and Newcastle putting the ball right under your throat. We saw how brilliantly Austin dealt with that yesterday. Fair play to Austin. Especially in your first game for so long, how have he dealt with that? Will Kinski be able to deal with that as comfortably? That's obviously a big question mark. And definitely shot stopping wise, from what I've seen from little clips of him, he definitely spills the ball way too much. He definitely spills the ball right in front of him. He doesn't hang on to some certain shots, which maybe he should. So, maybe he is still a work in progress.
Well, at 21 as a goalkeeper, you're always going to be a work in progress.
Yeah, but I get that. You're not going to be the finished article at 21, absolutely. But we've signed it. We've decided to sign him. We rushed the signing of him in January when we could have signed him in the summer. So that implies we intend to use him.
Yeah.
And that implies we think he's ready to make an impact now. It's a big risk if he to put him in straight away. I know I just said I would, but obviously that's on the basis that they feel like he's ready. But it is obviously a big risk if he's not completely ready. Based on what I've seen, there's some indication that potentially he's still got a lot of improving to do. In that sense.
I think on that basis, I would actually start Brandon in the game against Liverpool just because of how well he played. I think he should get recognition for that and play Antonin in the Tamworth game. But then that begs a big question: who plays the Arsenal game? But look, because there's massive games coming up, and putting Antonin Kinski straight into the deep end, literally a few days after signing, without too much time on the training ground. Because look, you can see what they're about in terms of the scouting system and the data, but you really see what they're about when they're in the doors of Hotspur Way and when you can see them compared to the other keepers that we have.
But he seems like a very confident kid. He seems like someone who would just take it all in his stride. That's what it looks like to me.
I hope so. We don't know that though.
I mean, judging by how he plays,
yeah,
it looks like that he looks like a fit.
But it's
kind of character.
It's all well and good doing that in the Czech league, but it's a different kettle of fish coming to the Premier League.
Yeah, of course it is. He's done in Europe as well.
Yeah,
he's also played in Europe and done really well as well. So this is a kid who's every test he's had, he's done really well. He's passed it. He's now moved on to a very big club in England, and of course it's his biggest test yet, and it's very going to be very difficult for him. But again, as I say, I don't think we sign him very early on in January. We're the 5th of January here. We've signed him right at the start of the month if we don't intend to use him very quickly. I think that's probably the case, because no point signing him and then waiting a month to put him in when Vicario is going to be back in March. You probably sign him at this point because you intend to use him.
Yeah,
That's what I think.
Yeah, well, we'll see. We'll see on Wednesday.
On logic states. Maybe
we'll
won't.
We'll see on Wednesday what happens.
Maybe he might reward Austin. And I wouldn't be against that either, because Austin did very well. But there's clearly a reason they've signed him early and not trusted Austin before.
Yeah. I wonder if they knew Austin was going to have a performance like that, if they would have rushed it still.
Yeah, maybe not.
Look, we'll see. We'll see. The next tweet is from Tottenham, says, "Welcome to Tottenham Hotspur, Antonin." He actually suits that, doesn't he? And then the next one is just a little quote from him saying, "It's a new experience. I'm really happy and really excited." And if you go onto the website, you'll see an interview from him as well. And this is the last one saying, "Checking in," with him coming and arriving at Hotspur Way, doing his medical and stuff, which was after the game yesterday.
Fantastic stuff. Well, welcome to the club, Antonin. We're all rooting for you. Let's hope you've got a good career ahead of you.
Yeah, exactly. So that is the first signing sealed and delivered in the January transfer window. And apparently it doesn't stop there, as Paul O'Keefe says that he expects the next signing to be an attacking one. But we actually are going to talk about defensive options first and foremost, as Paul O'Keefe says that Itakura has been offered to Tottenham. However, it does sound like he's the backup option.
Interesting. Obviously, he's a bit more experienced. He's like, 27? He is very good with the ball at his feet, and he's quite a good ball-playing defender. Has spent a bit of time midfield as well. Look, I think he's a good fullback option. We definitely, when it comes to players that we need through the door, I think he kind of fits what we're trying to do. I don't think he's like the paciest player, but I don't think he's any slouch either. So I think in terms of his confidence on the ball, his ability to progress the ball up the thirds, he's actually pretty good. So I don't mind him as a backup option, but let's hope we really go for our first choice options. I'm interested to see who our first choice options are.
Yeah. I mean, Thomas Christensen, who we're going to be talking about next, has been spoken about a lot over the past couple of days or so. And a publication in Italy say that Spurs are showing very serious interest in the quest to sign centre-back Thomas Christensen. Udinese will be willing to sanction his sale this month for around 16.5 million euros.
Cheap.
So, yeah, fairly good price, which makes me think, like, if they value him, I mean, if he's that good and he's doing so well at Udinese, like, why so cheap?
Don't know, maybe Udinese need the money. We know that that kind of money is a lot more for Serie A teams than it is for Premier League. We know that.
But that still sounds really cheap.
It is quite cheap. Yeah, you think if he's a top talent, you'd probably be looking to spend more than that, you'd probably think. Apparently he's quite quick off the ground as well, quite tall. But apparently playing out the back, there's a few question marks about him. So
yeah. Well, I mean, if you believe that, the thing is, like, with rumours now in Tottenham and the way Johan Lang works, it makes it feel like all these rumours are just for nothing, because we talk about all these players and then the next couple of days just someone completely out the blue just signed for Spurs without any rumours. So I feel like all these rumours are all kind of like literally that's what I feel like at the moment.
Yeah, well, that's Johan Lang, I think, for sure. Kind of adds a special kind of every day you don't know what's going to happen in a way at the moment.
But you can only talk about what's in front of you. That's the reality.
Yeah, 100%.
So, I mean, judging by what the press is saying, I kind of think that Thomas Christensen might be the first choice and Itakura might be the second choice, but I'm probably completely wrong on that, and neither of them are a choice.
Probably, I would say that anything, like I think anything Paul O'Keefe says is probably more likely to be true because he's not a media outlet, but anything that's been pushed by a media outlet is probably less likely to be true.
Yeah, I mean, Paul O'Keefe was saying that Spurs are going for a keeper in Germany a few days ago.
Yeah, so, maybe they were looking at one. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. And look, last but not least, let's look at the forward line, and we're going to talk about Randall Kolo Muani, as Paul O'Keefe said yesterday. Well, first of all, yesterday around social media was ablaze, saying there's a striker, there's a forward player that is going to be made known to us tomorrow, which is today, and they were saying it's a serious option and Spurs are really looking to get him in and we want to get him in pretty quickly. And Paul O'Keefe says the next player that we do bring in will be a forward option. And then he said Randall Kolo Muani does interest Tottenham a lot in January, and then he confirmed today that the unknown forward that everyone was talking about yesterday is Randall Kolo Muani, and he's waiting to hear if that deal is close or not. Alfredo Padula also said that Juventus have been informed of Kolo Muani's situation, as well as Tottenham, with Juventus also pursuing Joshua Zirkzee, so they're challenging on both fronts. And Corriere della Sera, who's an Italian publication, say that Tottenham have serious interest in Randall Kolo Muani. Spurs are prepared to compete against AC Milan, Monaco, Juventus and RB Leipzig to land the forward. I mean, he's a player that really burst onto the scene at a couple, 2-3 years ago at Eintracht Frankfurt. Didn't go well for him after his big money move to PSG. I was really impressed with him at the World Cup when in Qatar. You know, he was coming off the bench and really making a real impact. He's really fast, direct. The wages that he's on, I think, can maybe be in line with what Spurs are looking to offer. I think he's on 150 grand a week, around that, plus bonuses. So I think Spurs will be, well in line to do that. We've done that with Timo Werner and the like. So I think if we were to do a deal with this, it would probably be a loan with an option to buy.
Definitely. Yeah. And when it comes to Muani himself, I think obviously he really burst on the scene, but he was playing under Glasner when he was at Frankfurt in that front three. Now, we know the way Glasner likes to play. He's very much a player a manager who sets up his team so that they're very transitional. They exploit space when they can in the forward line. And that's what Muani was doing, kind of, when he was under Oli Glasner. He was kind of heading that front line. And he was the one pretty much tasked with getting in behind defences, taking people on, exploiting space in transition, just being very, very direct. Now, PSG play a very different way, especially under Luis Enrique. Very much possession-based, playing against a lot of settled defences, and he has struggled in that sense. And again, for France, he's actually done all right for France, but again, France are under Deschamps, again, are a team who are very defensively solid. They do come up against good low blocks as well, but in general, they're a team that prefer to play in transition than they do against low block teams. Deschamps is very much a manager who's kind of like defence first. So I
think most of our attacking players are better in the transition, though.
Yeah, then that's a problem. That's my point. And bringing Muani, there are definitely doubts whether he is suited to how we would set up, for sure. Because if he's either playing up front or he's played on the wing sometimes, is he someone who can kind of play up against teams who are basically denying him space? And is he good enough in those kind of scenarios? Now, maybe we're thinking if he plays on the wing, where for us, I think our wingers probably get more space than our strikers at the moment, and they get opportunities to take people on, and maybe we feel like we can make him into a better winger than a striker. I can see it. Obviously, if we bring him in up front, obviously that would tell me that Richarlison can't be trusted to stay fit, which we know is true, but he is going to be fit in the next week or so, apparently. So it'd be odd to bring another striker just as he's getting fit, unless we don't believe he can stay fit, which is not a unjustified belief. I think there are question marks about his suitability to Spurs, 100%. But on the flip side, he is a player who's done very well, shown he can do very well at the top level of European football and in Europe as well. And as well, in this kind of market, players like Muani, who are unfancied at a very top club, who are only a big money signing 18 months ago, there's not a load of them about. There's not loads of these players who've got high quality who are available. And maybe if he's someone who we can get and is someone who we believe could potentially improve the front line and has certain qualities that we could use, then it's worth doing a loan with an option, because I think there's a chance it might not get better than him. That's the truth.
Yes, but I would argue that we desperately need a winger, a natural winger, to come in this January. An out-and-out winger, a 1v1 winger, like a Johan Bakayoko, who's been touted for a move to Newcastle and 35 million, whatever it may be. Kolo Muani is a natural striker, and I just feel like when you're looking at what we need in the front line and what's a desperate need, I don't think he's a desperate need.
No, I don't disagree. But I'm just saying...
And I don't think we should just take him just because he's available and just because he could potentially be a high-quality player.
No, but my point is, there might not be better than him available.
But we are only the 5th of January. We are only the 5th of January.
I know, and I'm sure the Spurs are looking at different options and exploring different things. And maybe they've seen something in Muani where maybe they feel like if they put him on the wing, he can do certain things and has certain qualities that could do really well for us on the wing. Maybe they've decided that, because he can be a good dribbler. He is quite quick. Maybe they've decided, or maybe they've looked at it and think if we could mould him into a winger. And because he hasn't quite worked out up front or on the wing, to be honest, over the last 2 years. But obviously his best season was up front. But I guess the same was like for Werner. His best season was up front for Leipzig, and we decided to turn him into a winger. So maybe we're looking at the Muani situation and thinking, there's certain things they've done, they've crunched the numbers on, and they looked at the data and thought, actually, he could really do a job on the wing for us if we mould him in a certain way and teach and get him playing our way. And if that's the case, I'm willing to go with it, because I think at the moment, this window's tough, especially for good quality attackers. Teams, if you want a good quality attacker, teams are not willing to let them go if they're starting. So you're looking for players either have not long left on their contract or are out of favour. Or if they are starting, you have to pay a massive premium. And you're not going to get teams, players out of teams who are probably playing Champions League right now, because they're still in their Champions League campaigns. You're not going to get players out of teams who are challenging at the top for titles or Europe. So you're looking at middle teams, or maybe teams battling relegation. And that's also difficult, because teams battling relegation don't want to lose their players as well. So someone like Muani, who's kind of right in that sweet spot where he's a good player, a good team, who's out of favour, that's kind of your best bet at the moment. And I don't see too many players who are good and out of favour at a top team right now available.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you do pay the money, you're probably more than likely to get them.
Who?
Like someone like Bakayoko, someone... I think there's plenty of players around, even in the Championship, in Premier League clubs, in the Eredivisie, in the French League. Surely it can't be just Muani that's available. There's got to be players available, It can't just be him. There's got to be loads of players and someone that's actually going to fit what we actually need. When I don't think Muani fits exactly what we need now.
I'm sure there are players we know of that we want, and I'm sure there are players we've scouted. but that we can get in January. I'm not there. Maybe there are, but it's very, very difficult. I'm saying Muani might be the best one. Is what I'm saying.
Maybe best one quality-wise, but not the best fit for what we need.
Yeah, maybe not. But he might turn out to be if we can kind of mold him into what we need him to be. He might be. I don't know. I don't know for sure, but I think there's a chance he might be because January is very difficult for all those reasons I explained.
Well, we'll have to wait and see. But apparently he is the attacking option that Spurs have very serious interest in and are looking. So we'll have to wait and see how this one progresses. But having said that, it's probably not him and someone completely out of the blue.
Look,
and we'll probably sign someone tomorrow.
I would rather someone else better fit, but I'd rather Muani than not signing any forward. I'd rather take
obviously.
a punt on him alone.
Yeah, look, I'll take him over nobody, obviously. But I completely agree. I think we need to sign someone that we need, and we need a winger. We need an out-and-out winger. Someone with really good 1v1 dribbling that can take that attack on to the next level.
Yeah, of course.
But that is your Tottenham